Barbie in the real world. That's impossible.
If this got out, this could mean extremely weird things for our world. This would be catastrophic!
America Ferrera, Academy-nominated actress. That's a pretty great sentence to say. Tell me about that morning for you and what it was like to hear your name called.
It was a shock. It was a shock and so surreal. And I was all by myself. My husband had just left with the kids to drop them off at school. And I just laid back down in bed. I was like, let me just lie down for this news. I was like, it's fine. And it was so unexpected, truly. I was just kind of shocked into silence, which is not what I thought would happen if I ever got nominated for an Oscar. I thought I would scream and cry, but I sort of went, and I just gasped and covered my mouth. And then I was like, wait, what? Is that real? And then my phone started blowing up, and then I was like, I think it's real.
Yeah. I guess you would have to say that because I'm going to date myself a little bit, but I remember patiently waiting for when you were, when you were competing for Real Women Have Curves. And I was one of the people that was like, I know you got the independent spirit and you were doing all that. How satisfying it is now to know that indie moment that you had, and now you're here with the biggest movie of the year. It's kind of an interesting bookend when you look at your journey and through these stories.
Yeah, I mean, it's strange to take one specific moment that is a big, charged, exciting moment and sort of look back at 22 years of a career. And, you can't help but sort of create a narrative and a story. And, the story's not over,
No.
We're in this one moment. But it's really kind of hard to wrap my mind around, I love the work that I've been so lucky to be a part of, and I feel so lucky that so much of what I've gotten to do, I just love with my whole heart and believe so much in, from Real Women to Sisterhood to Ugly Betty to Superstore, to Barbie. I didn't love Barbie more than any of those things. I loved it just as much, and separating sort of the work and the experience of the work from kind of what happens next that you have no control over, I think is important. And yet, it's bigger than just this moment and this performance. For me, I think it's my childhood dream realized. I was 5 years old when I decided, when I knew that I wanted to be an actress, and then I was 10, 12, 15 with this insane dream that no one around me saw as possible for me. And I don't blame them. It was very hard to imagine a short, brown, chubby, immigrant daughter, Latina girl building a career in this industry. And, the last couple of weeks, I've spent a lot of time thinking about that girl and how she had the guts to believe in it, and that here we are. And I'm so, in a way, proud of her. She was more sure than I've been, at other times in my career when I had more to show for it, when I had more proof of my path. I sometimes had less confidence and faith than she did. It's almost like time traveling. It's like being a lot of different versions of myself at once. And it's a beautiful experience, and I'm just trying to take it all in.
I hope so. And you say that, the path forward, you're right, you don't have a ton of control, but you can have a little bit of control because your next project is your directorial debut. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that and why now, why that moment?
Yeah, well, I started directing when I was on Superstore, acting and executive producing, and I just fell in love with that job. I loved directing, and I did more episodic stuff on that and on Hintified, and then this opportunity came around, this beautiful book that I read and loved, and I knew the author. I'm Not Your Perfect Mexican Daughter, beloved young adult novel. Someone else got the rights and developed it and turned it into a script, and they came to me to consider directing it. And I didn't build a path or a vision of me as a director. That was never the thing, but I loved doing it so much, and I thought, I never knew what would compel me to take that step, but I know this story, and I know it in my bones, I know it in my experience, and to me it felt like a kind of like a full body, like, yeah, I can do that. I can tell that story, and I know I have something to offer that. And it is very full circle in that, Real Women Have Curves. I was, 17 years old. It was a coming of age story of a Mexican American girl in LA. And they're very different stories, but there's similarities in the themes and in the genre. And so to be at this phase in my career and getting to create opportunity and access for more of these kinds of stories to get out into the world is really exciting.
You've always been kind of a trailblazer. I mean, thinking about a movie like Real Women Have Curves and just the success that had, the small little indie, and how that was like an indelible moment, not just of representation, but of just great cinema. Still, I think the lead actress in a comedy, this Hispanic woman, to get that honor at the Emmys. But this Barbie experience has been singular and obviously incredible, from that crazy whirlwind global press tour you guys did to the success of it. And I know you're a producer in your own right, but I feel like the sisterhood, y'all sort of have bonded in this set. What are you going to take for it going forward in your endeavors? What is the thing that you really want to take for working with people like Greta and Margot and Issa and everybody, Ryan, everyone really that worked in this moment? When you look back on Barbie, what do you want to take from this experience?
When I think about working with Greta and Margot and Ryan and Issa and Kate and Michael and Will and just this incredible cast, and then all the amazing department heads and their incredible crafts, I think the thing that I feel most inspired by is the courage everyone had to work at their thresholds. I think everybody knew we had to create something unlike anything else. We didn't have anything to point to and be like, oh, that's what we're doing. We're doing that kind of movie. Or, it was like, it was inspired by a lot of things, but it was clear in the moment that we weren't emulating anything or trying to be like anything. It was a brand new genre. It was a vision, that was a musical, but it was heartfelt, but it was Barbie, and it was so hard to really know what we were making. And so there were times where you felt like, I'm out on a limb, and everybody was kind of out on a limb. We were just making something brand new, and that is not comfortable. And I think the kind of strength and courage to work it past where your threshold is. And that may go terribly wrong. That's not always going to end up in, a $1.5 billion success. That sometimes could go really, really bad, but that you don't get there without that discomfort and that unknowing. I think it's so deeply inspiring and I feel like it's what we need more of in our world and in movie making. Like, we need people to take big risks, and then we all win, right? If it doesn't work, then, well, yikes, it doesn't work. But a lot of things don't work, right? I'd rather things didn't work taking a really big swing. So I feel like it's a win for that. It's a win for taking big bets.
The last thing I will say is, obviously, your speech, you know what it is, because how many people quote it back to you is what I want to know. But what has been your greatest moment with those words? Because I've seen it all over TikToks, I've seen it everywhere, and I'm sure for you personally, there's even more like crazy moments with that story.
There've been a lot of moments. Like, most recently, I was on a flight, a lot of flying back and forth from New York and LA right now. I was on a flight, and I had a flight attendant kind of come up to me, and she said, I just want to say, like, there's a lot happening with, like, in our work, and we're fighting for things that, that we really, like, need and want. And anyway, she said she went back and watched the movie and the monologue for, like, courage. And that it inspired her to, like, keep pushing and fighting for what she thought she and her colleagues deserved. And she, like, had tears in her eyes, and she was, like, thanking me for the work, and that was so moving, that, like, there's millions of people who will potentially find something that
their courage and their
them
voice
going in that, and I think that's so beautiful. And, you know, I get to hear about it for the rest of my life. I'm sure it won't stop. And I'm glad it won't, you know.
It is literally impossible to be a woman. You are so beautiful and so smart, and it kills me that you don't think you're good enough.